I like dolls, but I love books. Okay, I love dolls too. You got me. Hello out there, all you doll-loving book nerds, and welcome to my channel, where my dolls and I sit and talk about the books we like. Sometimes it's Barbie, sometimes it's Illy, sometimes it's Monster High, sometimes it's a Disney princess, sometimes it's Rain. Must I carry on? I feel like you get the point. Basically, my dolls and I have our own little book club. My name is Daniel, and I am the Barbie book boy. So there I was, standing outside in my bathrobe, gazing up at the night sky, searching for UFOs and wondering, do aliens like playing with fashion dolls too? When a disturbing thought snuck up on me. Are we their version of fashion dolls? Is that why they're always trying to scoop me up and probe my anus? Anyway, I guess we can't really blame those wily little aliens for taking an interest in us. After all, the human body is fascinating. Just ask the characters from The Resurrectionist by A. Rae Dunlap. And that's precisely what I intend to do. But it'll be boring all by myself, so why not invite a friend over? But who to choose? Well, it needs to be someone who isn't squeamish. Someone with an interest in the macabre. Then suddenly it dawned on me. A grilled cheese sandwich with tomato soup is basically just a partially deconstructed pizza. Now I'm hungry.
A few moments later.
Anyway, who better to help me dig up some fun than our own little grave-dodging gal, Zombie Gaga! Mama told me when I was young, hope I don't get copyrighted for that. This grizzly ghoulie is the perfect co-host for today. She tends to be a bit of a night owl, and she loves a healthy dose of mischief. I mean, just look at this face. Isn't it an absolute scream? Sometimes I like to pretend her bubble gum is a teeny tiny little crystal ball. I see a man in your future, about 7'10", green skin, a black flat top haircut, doesn't really say much. But she ain't your typical clumsy zombie stumbling around like some drunken toddler. Check out her shoes. I mean, I don't know too many zombies or people who could walk around in these bad boys. I, for one, know that I would undoubtedly break my neck within like 2 seconds, which would be a good way to end up on a slab being autopsied to death in this book. Speaking of, grab a shovel and let's dig into The Resurrectionist by A. Rae Dunlap. Lady, there ain't enough body wash in the world to make you smell fresh. So James Willoughby is a bright-eyed young medical student who ditches his Oxford studies to head up to Scotland to study surgery. Surgery had a bit of a boom in 1828 Georgian society, and it was all the rage of the New Enlightenment. But apparently, Oxford only taught like theoretical medicine at that time. And young, sheltered little James is eager to be part of actual medical practice. Specifically, how to work on real human bodies. So he decides to go join one of the many private schools in Surgeons Square. Surgeons Square was actually a real historic area of Edinburgh that served as sort of a hub for the medical sciences. Like a farmer's market, but for autopsies. Probably. Anyway, but James is broke. See, his daddy was a lousy gambler, and the family ain't got no extra money for some fancy schmancy private school on top of his other university studies. So as a last resort, he teams up with one of the handsome but impetuous Scottish dissectionists of one of these private schools called a Niren. And I surely did look up that name for the proper pronunciation. Though he did sound it out phonetically for James, I just wanted to make sure I was like saying it right in my head while I was reading. Turns out Aneurin is a Welsh name that means man of honor, but his friends just call him Nye. Anyway, James starts working with Nye to help pay his private school autopsy tuition. However, he quickly realizes that Nye has made him an accomplice to body snatching as a side hustle. But James is kind of taken with Nye. So like many of us that have had a crush on a bad boy at one time or another, he willingly allows himself to be led into the underground business of the resurrectionists. Resurrectionists, that's what these body snatchers like to call themselves. Oh, that's cute. Anyway, these private autopsy schools have to get their cadavers from somewhere. How you gonna experiment on a dead body without an actual specimen? You ain't gonna find that at Oxford. So James finds himself a member of a ragtag team of miscreants who steal bodies from fresh graves all over town. And they are networked. I mean, there's lookouts and funeral scouts and transporters. And these little grave robbing gangs are like super territorial. At a certain point, it becomes rather life and death for their little group. But all I kept picturing were these little British street urchins with adorable accents doing Seize the Day from Newsies, but like with dead bodies and not newspapers. Anyway, things go from exciting to deadly when a rival gang starts trying to seize all the territory and monopolize the body snatching business for themselves. And a dastardly pair of body snatchers named Burke and Hare are hot on their heels. For those of you who aren't historians, Burke and Hare were actually real-life body snatchers and murderers in Scotland in 1828. They actually sold bodies to a guy called Robert Knox for anatomy lessons in his private autopsy school. Like, it really happened. I love historical fiction. Anyway, the competition for fresh graveyard meat is hot. And James and Nye are trapped together in the thick of it, trying to dodge rival gangs, the police, and sometimes even James's own family. And that is the story of The Resurrectionist by A. Rae Dunlap. So what are my thoughts? The Resurrectionist is a well-researched novel with atmosphere for days. And like all my most favorite things and people, it's a gothic good time. Seriously, give me a historical fiction with spooky gothic tones and I just fall to pieces. The pursuit of science intersecting with romance was almost enough to make even her cold, dead heart go pitter-patter. Both James and Nye are each bewitching in their own silly little ways. I particularly loved James's high-bred, gentlemanly Englishman way of speaking. For example, this is a direct quote from Mr. Willoughby himself. That's James. "If you insist upon showing up at my chamber door and making demands upon my social schedule, you can at least extend me the courtesy of allowing me a moment to pull myself together properly." On anyone else, it would be totally obnoxious, but it makes sense for a well-bred Englishman of that time. The air of mayhem and adventure as these characters fall headfirst into the underworld of body procurement is an absolute jolly ride. But probably not for the squeamish, since the main goal is to use these bodies for autopsies. And these characters are most enthusiastic when it comes to their day jobs, so be warned. They're passionate people, what can I say? And they are very good at both their day and night jobs. And even with all that work, they still manage to find time for just a pinch of illicit and clandestine romance. This book had all the fun of Halloween in the 90s. I was a 90s kid, so I remember it well. Hanging out in graveyards with your pals, digging up dead bodies, and running from the police. Makes me a little nostalgic. Anyway, so there you have it. Our thoughts on The Resurrectionist by A. Rae Dunlap. Thank you so much for watching. My dolls and I are going to be doing these weekly book review videos, so if that's your thing, then stay tuned. Oh, and since you're already here, you might as well like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment for Zombie Gaga. Tell her your deepest, darkest secrets. Tell her where all the bodies are buried. You really can trust her. Cross my heart and hope to die. Hey, do you think you could teach me how to do the monster mash? You know, since you're a musician and a monster and all.